The last time on Pete and his bus. Welcome to another episode of Pete and his bus. The barn's very empty. It is also extremely cold, but that doesn't matter because this painting malarkey has all been done. So we are going to crack on with the next step of our bus. But before we do that, there is one question I'm going to answer once and for all. If, like me, you post videos and photographs onto the internet for the world to see, you will know that sometimes you get asked a lot of questions about it. And for those of you that have been following me for some time, you can attest to the fact that I do the utmost to answer all the questions. But sometimes I get asked the same question over and over again, and I basically get bored of typing the reply. So what I do then is I take the question, I stick it in a video like this, and I answer it once and for all. And the question in question this time around is, why do you always drive different cars at the beginning of every video? So to answer this question fully, I've actually got to take a few steps backwards, and that is to reveal that originally I actually intended to make my YouTube channel about classic cars and have the bus feature on the side. Compo, you're not a classic car. Go away.
This is so unfair. Why don't you go away?
I then did a bit of research and realized that there are a lot of classic car channels already out there, and some of them are really good. So rather than try and compete with these excellent channels, I did the switcheroo, made the bus the main feature, and had a little bit of classic car on the side. There are also a lot of little questions on the side like, are they all your cars? Are these cars for sale? Can I buy that car? Who do all these cars belong to? So on and so forth. And to answer all those questions, no, they are not all my cars. I do own some of them, and actually some of them I've owned for a very long time. I sometimes buy and sell old cars, but most of these actually simply belong to family and friends. So who knows, maybe the classic car thing will become a feature in the channel in the future, but for the time being, I just like to brighten up the beginning of every episode and have you guys all guessing what is he gonna turn up in next. And speaking of that question, I am now going to reveal what car I will be turning up in the next episode. No, I'm not. Ha! the next item we're going to tackle on the bus. Let me explain. A little while ago, I tried to recondition this frame. This was way back in episode 16. And for those of you that have watched it, can testify to the fact that the frame was in a really bad way. But because I've been so keen to get the paintwork on the bus finished, I actually only restored half of the frame. And the rest was put to one side for me to pick up at a later date. Well, that date has come now. The advertising frame is actually a very important part of my business. Not only does it allow me to put my client's name across the side of our bus should they choose to have that, a lot of the events we attend are actually paid for by sponsors. So in turn, they can put their logos and names across the side of our bus. Sponsorship is a very important part in the events industry, so we've got to make sure that our new bus gets a superbly restored advertising frame that is ready for action. But we do have a slight problem. I thought I'd do the old-fashioned way, take a bit of sandpaper, rub them back and then cover them in etch primer. But they've been left to sit for a while now and you can see that the paint's flaking back off them and they basically need a proper sort out. So their next option is to sandblast them. Now I could go to a professional company and they probably have the whole lot done in one day, but that is not my style. Pleased with the result, and it is definitely the right step forward for the advertising frame. But the thing I am not so pleased with is the fact that I'm still finding sand in like every orifice of my body 2 days later. And I can't breathe properly without my visor steaming up, I can't see anything. It's just a horrible, horrible experience. So I basically need to get more prepared. Also a really sexy and fun look.
Sexy and fun? I'm all about that. Now where is that Vespa? Hello.
So the sandblasting is nearly complete, but there are a couple of pieces that refuse to play along. And it's sort of the original coat of paint, and I don't know what's in it, but even the blaster at full pressure will not shift that paint. So I'm actually gonna have to sand them down first, rough it up, and then blast to get rid of all this old crap. So we have the desired effect, but this tiny piece took twice as long as the big sections that I've been doing. So I don't know what paint they used back in 1967, but it was bloody good. As you can tell, I am reaching the end of my sandblasting saga. But before I carry on, I've got to reload Sandblaster. And as if it was written like a script for a film, I discover to my horror that the last two pieces are also covered in the bulletproof 1967 paint. Reload Sandblaster. So it takes me another 2.5 days to get this whole sandblasting action finished. Sandblaster. Reload Sandblaster. So yes, I could have sent all these pieces off and I would have had them back about 4 days ago. But when I look at all these beautiful pieces of aluminium that are all going onto my lovely bus, there is a certain satisfaction I get from the thought that I did it all by myself. And that makes me very happy. So what's the next step? Well, we need to bring in an old character. I think you've met him before.
Call me Edgy Primer. I'm coming at you like a ray, like a tiger. What kind of color did you want me to spray? Take a guess, it's gray. Somebody get me something to spray right now. Edgy Primer, Edgy Primer. Disrespect with the primer.
Check me out on the motherfucking combo. Coming here to ride your dick like a freaking bronco. Yo, mama said to me, she likes to straddle saddle to get a little two-stroke.
Whoa, way too much. Dude, I've told you about this. It's not too cold today, it's not too windy today. I've chosen to hang or stand everything up against a rope because if I lay it on the floor, we'll get dust that lands on it. And this way we get half a chance of getting a decent finish. Etchy Primer, here we go! I've come in this morning to look at the results and I am super pleased. First of all, everything is dried because we're going through a spell of really mild weather even though we're still in the middle of winter. And the other thing is that when you sandblast something, the sand actually leaves a slightly pitted surface and that's ideal for paint to sort of absorb it, so you always get a really good finish. If I'd have had the capacity to sandblast my entire bus, I probably would have done it. Can you imagine the amount of sand you'd need for that? It's like a beach. So now for the London Red. What I'm going to do today is put the first coat on, wait till it goes off slightly till tacky, and then instantly put the second coat on top. This way I don't risk the weather changing and being completely stuck. As you can tell, I have forgotten one piece. The frame's been in the corner of the barn for a very long time, and that piece is small, and I was worried about losing it, so I put it in a safe place. And of course, when I started painting it, I forgot to include it. The good news is, I found it. The bad news is, it is in a right old state. When filming this, my original plan was to make this catch up with the rest of its frame, but it soon dawned on me that with the different layers of paint and the drying times in between, this was never going to be a reality. So I've etched it and I've left it to one side, and it'll be completed in a future episode of Pete and his Bus. Here goes the first piece. Remember people, when you're doing stuff like this with buses, you're using rivets. You've got to make sure that your drill and your rivet are the exact same size. And in this case, I'm using 4.5mm. So here we go. It is taking a while to fit this frame. It's really difficult to drill holes into your bus and rivet freshly painted items onto a freshly painted bus without causing any damage or scratches whatsoever. And also the frame is a collaboration of lots of little bits and bobs found and put together, so it doesn't quite fit. And I definitely did not use an angle grinder to fit the last piece. I would never dream of doing that. In fact, I don't even own an angle grinder. I wouldn't even know what one looked like. Whoops. So that's one side complete, and I'm really pleased with the result. But on the other side, I'm still really struggling to get the right pieces in the right place so that it all fits onto the bus. So in the end, I've just laid the frame on the floor and I've actually lined up all the verticals. For some reason, one of the slats has an extra gap. No one knows why. And the first top one doesn't quite line up, but I am not going to use an angle grinder to fix that. No, not in a million years. Definitely not. I don't even own one. So last night I worked till late to get the job finished. In fact, I worked so late the battery of my camera decided to pack up, so I didn't quite film the finish. But I've come in this morning to have a look, and I'm really pleased with the results. Both the frames are on, and just so you understand, working with stuff that's freshly painted is actually even harder than working with stuff that's been painted but has dried for a while, because the paint is still slightly soft and you only have to bend it or twist it or nick it, and it peels off, and then you can start all over again. But I'm pleased to say that I actually managed to adjust the frames, fit them completely without damaging the paintwork whatsoever. Now, the big question is, I've gone through all this hassle to put these frames on my bus. What are they for? So there we are, one bus, two frames, well, nearly two frames, and two banners on display. I'll be honest, when I first put the Pete and his bus banner on it and I took a step back and had a look, I got this huge rush. I was so excited, even though it's just a big sticker with my name on it, but it kind of reminded me of the whole process and how far I've come, and it's little moments like this I personally really need to motivate myself to get up in the morning and go stand in a cold barn and work on my old dusty bus. Do you know what I mean? So, really lovely moment. Incidentally, last video, episode 24, was really good on YouTube. Loads of views, loads of comments, a lot of really positive stuff. So I'm feeling really good about 2022 and Pete and his bus. We're gonna make a big impact this year. I'm really gonna work hard to get you guys more videos. So I hope you like this one, and I'm gonna say it like the cringiest YouTuber in the whole world, which is, please like my video, please subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you all next time on Pete and his bus.